Hello, beautiful Meah. Welcome to the Healthy Hustlers podcast. I'm so excited to be in your energy today and have you here. How are you?
Thank you, Madeline. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me into your space and looking forward to our chat today.
I know, so am I. For context, so people know, we have a really close mutual friend, beautiful Davina, and I went on her retreat in June and I was gifted one of your beautiful products in the goodie bag. And so I had that and I was like, oh my goodness, this stuff is beautiful. I've also seen all of the amazing reviews of your products and I'm going through a bit of a skin journey myself. So I really wanted to get you on here to just, we're all searching for the glow. This podcast is all about that mind, body, spirit connection. And I know that we both believe when all of that is working in harmony, every aspect of your life is better. So I really want to dive into that today with you.
So good.
But I guess for you personally, what does that mind, body, spirit connection actually mean?
So foundational as a naturopath, that is the first thing that we're taught in terms of supporting someone holistically is through that mind, body, spirit connection. And I know personally there have been times where I've been really focused on the physical or I've been really in my head or I've been following a spiritual practice. There can be an imbalance sometimes, but when those things come together is where you are really building that foundation to thrive, be the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like for you in that particular phase of your life.
I love that. I think when I first started the Healthy Hustlers 7 years ago, it was a lot based on the burnout journey and me thinking that to survive the burnout, it was about your healthy habits. But I was probably looking at health more as just physical health and the food we ate, which absolutely make up so much of that. But the more I had conversations and the more my mind was expanded, I realized how much, exactly what you're saying, the mindset and the spirituality, all of that actually comes so much into play as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say? I know so many women are searching for the glow. I know I definitely am, especially as a tired mama. But how do our actual internals and what we're eating, what we're fueling our body, supplements, there's so much noise in the space, what to take, what to do. What's a more simplified approach that we can take to get that glow?
Look, I don't think there's any one solution for everyone. We're all different. It really depends on what time, energy and resources you have available as to what you can do to support yourself. But I definitely feel like for me, supporting my body physically is eating well, maybe having a smoothie a day, choosing organic wherever possible, drinking plenty of water, going to the gym, doing some exercise, varying my movement, sleeping well, looking after those fundamental things physically.
Yes.
And then also ensuring that my mindset is not constantly replaying a negative reel in my head and so that I can start to get a positive flow of good affirmations, good thoughts, good feelings about ourselves, good gratitude and positive mindset in terms of having hope or looking forward to something or being excited about something. I think all of that plays a part in how we're viewing the world and also how the world views us too.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that person, they've always got something good to say or I love being around them because they make me laugh or whatever it might be. So often we can get caught in that negative spiral. And so I think just stepping back from that and going, okay, well, I have a busy mind. How can I put it to good use,
Yes.
And then in terms of the spiritual side of things, that really can vary from person to person. Obviously, depends on your faith and your beliefs, what you've been brought up in, what you've accepted and taken on board, what you've rejected. Yeah. For me, having a spiritual path probably means something different to me than it would for you.
Yes, definitely.
And that's absolutely perfect because having that belief system is something that we can always fall back on. Yeah. And it's something that helps us to build trust in our life and gets us through those more difficult times because we know, okay, well, there's a higher power or there's some creative energy out there, whether it's God or the universe or whatever is flowing through me that I can tap into and use that energy for, you know, improving my life and helping others and that side of things. So a spiritual path, I guess, is something that does need to be cultivated and it's something that is done with a certain level of discipline as well.
Definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah, whether it's meditation, going to church, praying, journaling, or listening to some frequency music or whatever it might be. Everybody's spiritual path is unique to them, I would say. But it's something that really enriches your life, brings meaning, and helps us, I think, to understand the world, ourselves and other people a little bit better. The main part of that spiritual side of things, I think, is really finding peace and doing good and being happy along the way.
So true. Enjoying that part of the journey too. Did you have any spiritual moments when you were building your business? I feel like so many female entrepreneurs that I speak to refer to their like download or their moment of building their brand 100%. As quite a spiritual moment. Yeah. What was that for 100%.
You? I think it sort of came in parts. So I definitely was in a phase of my life that was really stressful and very challenging. Just for a bit of context, my husband had just lost his mum. There was a big family dynamic shift going on. The following year, so she passed in December, and the following year my mum got very sick and she had a benign tumour on her brain and had that operated, but then got an infection. And so she was in and out of hospital. She had like 5 major neurosurgeries in the space of about 8 months. So that was pretty full on. So that was really stressful.
Yeah. So were you working full time?
So my kids were young at that point. They were both at primary school, I think. How long ago was that? That would have been like 11 years ago. My eldest is 19. So young kids.
Yes.
I was working part-time with an integrative doctor in clinical practice, and I was looking after mum. She was staying with us. We were in this little house and we were back and forth to hospital and moving the kids around. They were sharing a room so mum could come and stay, and, you know, long days at the hospital. And I just hate hospitals. Like, I don't know what the energy is there, but it just makes me anxious.
I think it's all the layers, isn't it? Like the food and the advice and the energy and the...
I don't know. It's just, really it literally feels like another world.
Yes.
Like you're stepping into another world. Absolutely. They do so much good and help so many people, which is amazing. But there's some like stressful, weird energy in hospitals. And I think when you're sort of sensitive to that.
Totally.
So at that time, I was doing a lot of spiritual work. So I was like, again, this regular practice of meditation. I was attending a meditation group every Thursday night and being quite like, you know, listening to Doreen Virtue about angels and learning about my chakras and energy and all this like different stuff. But that was helping me through this stressful period. And then I think that all of that work kind of opens you up to a certain degree.
Definitely.
And I was camping with my family, and we were in northern New South Wales, and we're going on a bushwalk by the Clarence River, and literally like this idea just came to me out of nowhere. But I was like, oh yeah, I could really do that.
Wow.
And then it was like this point of excitement of, wow, that could help so many people. And that would be so good for me. I would take that every day, you know. And then I was like, okay, cool. Well, this is kind of exciting. And then it created this little bubble for me that then I could step into, and I was doing product design and tinkering with the formula and making a website, writing a brochure and doing all of this stuff that felt really exciting and fun.
I love that.
And so I just kept following that. And I think when you get that pull of excitement and that's something that you want to do, it's kind of like just where that energy flows is what's meant for you.
So true. And when it comes with that sense of ease almost, isn't it, at the start?
Yeah.
What was the first step of least resistance that you took? Because I feel like when you're on that journey and I definitely had that download. So I really resonate with that where it's like it just drops in and it's so crystal clear.
Yeah.
But there's always that initial, I really believe we all have that constantly. Like we're always getting these downloads and these thoughts drop in, but it's actually taking that action or that first step that then the path starts to unfold.
Yeah.
What was that initial first step for you? So the idea drops in when you're camping.
Yep.
What was the first thing that you were like, I feel pulled to do?
Started formulating.
Really? So that was the first thing? You just went straight into the formulation? Yeah. Amazing.
I started formulating and then getting doses and ratios and that side of things. I just started with a formula. I was lucky enough that my husband was in aircon at that time, and his business was located right next door to a food manufacturing business.
Yes.
Just small, like they were doing sports supplements, some powders and bars mainly, protein bars and that side of things. So we were quite good friends with them. We'd see them all the time, and I worked for him for a period just as like a rep going around to health food stores and, you know, topping up their orders and stuff like that. I went to him and said, I've got this formula, this little idea. Do you reckon you could make it for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. Come on in. And he's like, I don't know what half of these ingredients are, but if you can source them, then I'll blend it for you.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, great. Cool. So it just sort of felt like this natural, easy steps to take, and it just came together.
That's amazing. So I love those stories too, where it is like that's when alignment feels so real, doesn't it? When it's just like these like semi-coincidences that aren't coincidence at all. Like the fact that you already knew him and he worked so close to your husband. Oh, wow. This is a really natural, easy step that I can take. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like that's when you know you're onto something really good. Yeah.
And I think, you know, looking back, if I had known what this journey would have been, maybe I wouldn't have gone on it. Sure. All I could see was just that next step in front. Yes. And I think that's kind of how I've always operated. I'm not a big long-term planner.
Yes.
I'm kind of like, do what...
Probably why we get on.
I'm like, you know, if it feels good in this, you know, okay, well, that's where I'm meant to be going. If it doesn't feel good, I'll just pause and then wait until... the next thing shows up.
I think that moment of stillness too and pausing, like we often forget. I was literally having this conversation with a girlfriend on a walk today, is that we often forget that we actually know so much ourselves. Like we hold so much wisdom and our intuition is always speaking to us. But sometimes we're constantly searching for those external validations or guidance that we forget how much is actually inside to just listen. So I love that you said you can pause, because that's such a strength, especially in entrepreneurship where it is fast paced and you're always searching for that next thing, that next goal. To have those moments to actually just pause and reconnect, you just hold so many answers that you maybe haven't been able to hear yet in the noise. So I'm personally on a bit of a skin journey, as you know. You gifted me some beautiful, beautiful products when I walked in, which I'm so grateful for. I shared that I was using your product on my Instagram the other day, and I haven't done a lot of like, I guess more personal journey stuff on my Instagram. I used to do so much of that, and I haven't much anymore. I shared my skin and literally my DMs just blew up with people like, whoa. And I realized how much, for me personally, whenever something like that happens, like my skin gets bad, or with my children's health in particular, like when things start to go out of whack with them, higher emotions or not going to the toilet as regular, my first point of call is like, well, it's something internal. Like it's either the foods we're eating or the things. So with my skin, I knew straight away, and I'm like, well, the first thing I need to do is get some products that support me internally. But I feel like that's not always what we're advised to do.
Yeah.
How do we make a more of a holistic approach when it is a skin journey, where it's like supporting the skin from treatment perspective, but also the internal world? You know, really working in sync and harmony.
I've been on a big journey with my skin.
Yes.
So when I was younger, as a teenager, I had terrible hormonal acne.
Okay.
I have PCOS.
Okay.
And so that's been something that I've been managing long term. But part of that is, well, you know, a lot of women with PCOS have acne.
Yes.
But not everybody. And you can have acne without PCOS as well. But that really was something that I struggled with as a teenager, and then in my 20s and 30s. Going through naturopathy and learning about the body and hormones and how to support our skin from the inside out was so helpful. I had such a better understanding about where I was breaking out and what that meant, and with face mapping and seeing patterns in my cycle around when I was breaking out. It was like that blind cystic acne and picking and scarring and pigmentation.
Still comes in the bathroom and she's like, are you still picking your face at 35 years old? Yes, Mum, I am.
Don't worry, I feel you. I'm like, surely it'll heal faster.
I'm sure it's going to get out. Sure it's going to get out.
Better out than in. But it's so grateful that I don't have to worry about picking anymore. But that was certainly an issue when I was a teenager too. And being a naturopath as well, the worst thing when you're sitting across from somebody, giving them health advice, and they're looking at you with all these breakouts on your skin going, why am I going to take advice from you?
Exactly.
You need to get your shit together.
Need to be the embodiment of your work first. Absolutely.
So I was so self-conscious about it. Went through all the motions of detox and cleanses and supplements and diets and all the things, and nothing made a difference. Then I was like, okay, well, skincare. I swear I've tried every range out there, from natural to not natural. It wasn't really until I brought that together of doing both the internal and external work and simplifying things significantly and understanding where my body needed support. I was chronically deficient in zinc. And so I've been a vegetarian my whole life. So typically vegetarians do have lower stores of zinc. When I was postpartum, going through pregnancy and breastfeeding, your stores of zinc also get significantly depleted. So I just didn't have that resource to help my skin heal and get over the inflammation and that rebalancing that occurs with zinc, with estrogen and testosterone as well. And so, definitely needed some zinc. And then sorting out my liver health, my hormones and my gut all came together with Fem21. That was so good for my skin. And then just really dialed back what I was doing on my skincare and went to some simple products that were non-comedogenic. I was using a lot of like things that had, this oil in it and this for that and thinking I was doing all of the right things, but I was just further congesting my skin and I wasn't using good foundation that allowed my skin to breathe, and Yeah, it was a lot to learn.
Yes.
But once I got that right, happy days.
So what would you say if someone is feeling really overwhelmed? Because I know when I was similar, like younger years, 16 to probably 19, really bad skin. And I still remember how much of like my life it controlled. Like it's all I thought about. It's all I thought anyone was talking about.
Yeah.
You know, embarrassed to get photos, all of those things.
Yeah.
And I still think back to that little version of me and I'm like, oh, I just want to hug you. And because it actually wasn't that bad. But at the time it consumed my life. And when you're that consumed by something too, I'm such a big believer in, and you touched on this before at the very start when around what we're thinking, but what we focus on ultimately grows. So if you're focusing on the fact that your skin looks really bad or your skin isn't glowing, that's also what you're going to keep calling in and looking for that evidence of. So we know that it obviously knocks confidence and stuff, but it also can feel so overwhelming, like when you're just wanting to fix something.
Yeah.
So with what you've just shared of all of the things that you did do over a very long journey, what would be one of the initial steps someone could take, apart from starting Fem21, of course, because such an easy thing. Like I just have it as soon as I wake up in the morning, filter water, big scoop, drink it. It's delicious. Like it's so nice. It's so enjoyable to drink. Sometimes supplements and that you're like, oh, I can't have this first thing in the morning. Yours is so enjoyable to drink.
Not everybody thinks that.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I find it, I've tried some that are like creek water. I'm not so much for skin, but different ones like postpartum. I'm like, this is like drinking creek water. I'm not joking. So I had yours and I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Actually enjoyable.
I think it's
beautiful. Yes. And that's first thing in the morning. I just have that with filtered water. What's one of those next initial steps that we can introduce to really see those results working in harmony without too much of the overwhelm?
Yeah, I just think simple. So just knowing, all right, like to cleanse my skin.
Yes.
I do that twice a day. I use like, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I just use Cetaphil cleanser.
Oh, you know, I've had friends. We've got a skin therapist in the room we're getting the approval from.
So it's like, so...
get the dirt off and...
Yeah, it's just simple. Like, you know, you look at the back of the ingredients and it's not like a list as long as your arm, you know. And
you're not the first person to tell me the results from that.
And so just cleansing with that, and then twice a day and double cleansing at night. Also just cleansing after I do everything else as the last thing, because you wash your hair, brush your teeth, do all the things in the shower, but then cleanse your face last. And then, just using simple products, making sure that you've got good sunscreen, a good foundation, especially stuff with high surface area. You know, you want to ensure that what you're absorbing into your skin is natural and not going to be congesting. It's not going to interfere with the pH balance of your skin. Some people's acne can be fueled by bacteria. Just like we've got a microbiome in our gut and in our vagina, we also have a microbiome of our skin. We've got good and bad bacteria that live in harmony on our skin. Sometimes the bad bacteria win, you know, that war, and that can upset the pH balance of our skin. That then impacts like more sort of like cluster acne, where you're getting one pimple that spreads to another pore and then it blooms out from there. You know, there's different things that you can do depending on what type of acne you're getting. Like mine was definitely fueled hormonally and driven by, you know, my liver and gut as well. So sorting that out made a difference internally. And I was getting breakouts like around my mouth, along the jawline and on my back quite a lot as well. And sort of like deep cystic painful pimples that would take a long time to heal. They would sort of draw up and then...
And would you say that was the gut more...
I think that was hormones and liver together. And just my liver not processing those hormones effectively. Because as your hormones are circulating in the bloodstream at different times of your cycle, so say you've got your peak times around ovulation and then pre-period where you're doing a lot of hormonal metabolism, your liver is doing the bulk of that work to filter that blood to metabolize those hormones out of your system.
Okay.
So if your liver's sluggish,
yes,
with genetics, with chemicals, with stress, whatever, is causing your liver not to be functioning optimally, then its work to filter and metabolize those hormones is going to be impaired. And so supporting the liver at those, peak times of your hormonal fluctuation, and then the liver dumps those hormonal metabolites into the bowel to then be carried out of the body.
Okay.
So if your bowel's not working particularly well, you're not moving every day, you've got like an imbalanced microbiome, then that bad bacteria overgrowth in that imbalanced microbiome will contribute to your hormones not clearing effectively. Then you get a recycling of hormonal metabolites, and then that puts extra pressure on the liver. And so then we've got this imbalance between our hormones and our detoxification pathways, and that shows up like hormonal acne or whatever, other symptoms that might be resulting from that as well.
You just explained that so well. I feel like my mind has just been expanded. I was thinking my concentration face right now is going to be so funny, because I was like, wow, so much goes into it that we just don't think about.
Yeah.
I'd love to understand, I feel like I would love to talk about the connection with chemicals in the body, because I often feel like that's maybe overlooked or even misunderstood. And there's so many levels,
So many
tap
levels.
Water, foods we're eating. Like, we live in such a fast-paced environment where food is produced so quickly, things are packaged. Even the other week I was at the grocer and my daughter's like, Mum, I want to buy grapes. And I'm really big on the quality of food. I'm happy to pay more money and go without other things so that we can have really good quality food. Yeah. And I looked, and they're from the USA. And I said, oh, sorry, honey, we're not going to buy those. And she's like, why? And I said, darling, they've actually come from America. And she's like, so? And I explained to her, I was like she's 6, but I'm like, so someone has picked them in America and they've been sprayed, and I tried to break it down, and then they've come on an aeroplane and be shipped. And I'm like, so they were probably picked like, who knows, 60, 90 days ago, and then they've sat on a shelf. And I said to her, I'm like, I'm not paying for grapes. They literally have no nutritional benefit now from what they've gone through. But I often really think that's sometimes just overlooked in our body actually working in harmony. And it's like, we're happy to throw money at other alternatives when a lot of the time it can just be the amount of chemicals that are actually circulating in our body every day.
And it is overwhelming. We're literally living in a chemical soup. Yeah. It's important to remember that even though our bodies are sensitive, we're also extremely resilient and adaptable. So that sensitivity and adaptability also does change depending on what we're exposed to, what stresses we have, how old we are, that side of things. But understanding that, okay, well, we are all living in this chemical soup. Some people are potentially more sensitive than others.
Yes.
But what can we do to make healthier choices on a day-to-day basis that doesn't feel so overwhelming?
Yes.
Because I think if you know all of the things, you kind of would just be like,
and it's almost like a rabbit warren. Like when you open it, I remember when I first started my health journey and exploring a lot of it, it was like I opened the lid of the biggest rabbit warren in the world.
That's it.
Just like, well, where do I go? And every time I felt like I was getting closer to like an answer or something, it's like another warren opened, and I was like, which path do I take? I totally get that.
And I think too, like with the rise of social media and us getting our information from so many different sources, we can literally just look up something instantaneously and research it and get answers to our questions. Like, that's empowering and amazing, but it can also be quite like overwhelming as to, what do we do? So I think from a chemical perspective, I just kind of try to keep it simple in terms of, okay, what are we drinking and what are we eating, and then what are we putting on our bodies?
Yes.
And so if, what we're drinking, just keep it as close to nature as possible. So let's go water, make sure we're filtering our water, tap water that's unfiltered or coming from plastic water bottles contains a myriad of chemicals that our body doesn't need. And, plastics, like microplastics, we're learning so much more about now, and that's getting researched so much more, which is amazing. And women's health research is starting to get more funding and having more of an understanding about, actually, God, we've got microplastics in our period blood. Yes. And it's really going through us, plastics. And so, making a healthier choice with our water so that we're not drinking out of plastic water bottles, we're filtering it. If we're drinking coffee or tea or hot beverages, making sure we're drinking them from real ceramic cups or glassware. Takeaway cups, even if they're paper or cardboard, are lined with, anti-stick material that then that heat will break that down and we're consuming that. So just, wherever you can make a little change will make a difference, especially if it's a day-to-day thing.
Yes.
So look, if once every 3 months you're getting a takeaway coffee, it's not the end of the world, right? But if you're drinking pod coffee every day, you're getting that plastic and aluminium into your coffee every day, right? So it's those little changes.
It is that balance. I actually bought water from a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
But I was like, which I couldn't remember the last time I did have a filtered water tap at home, and I usually take a drink bottle, but I'm interstate. But it's that moment of even just that consideration for me of I would rather almost that, maybe it's not the best choice, but over the tap water. Sometimes it's those little micro moments isn't it? Of what's the best choice that I can make in this moment.
Better to drink water than not at all.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. I know that was one of the first kind of easiest shifts for me to make when it was coming to reducing chemicals, was moving to filtered water.
Yeah.
I remember.
So good.
Yeah. It was just it just felt the least, I was like, that's a simple change that I can make. There's so many ways that you can access filtered water these days.
Yeah.
You can have them in your home, amazing different filtration tanks and ceramics. There's so many easy ways to do it.
Yeah.
And making that shift in itself can just make us feel.
And it's foundational.
So yeah, absolutely.
Foundational. Yes. And I think too, with food, there's so many different diets. What somebody would thrive on, what you would thrive on might not be what I thrive on, or, that we're all different, right? So understanding that there's no one diet that fits all, but we can make some healthier changes within that diet that we're choosing so that we're eating as close to nature as possible. So the minute that you start messing with it is the minute that its nutritional value starts to decrease.
Yes.
So the more processed a food is, even a simple thing like cutting an apple,
decreases it.
It starts to oxidize, so it's the further away that it's moving from its natural state, the less nutritional value that it has.
Whoa.
So if you're looking at something and you can't imagine what it would be in nature, you probably shouldn't be eating it.
That's such a good, I'm a very visual person though, so I'm that's actually beautiful advice, because it's it's that, so
and
far
not
away.
that you shouldn't be eating it, but just minimal, right?
Yes.
Just minimize, not every day. And I grew up with a super strict diet. Health-wise, I can't...
That you put on yourself or from
your
family?
No, from my family.
Okay.
So, I had a very unusual upbringing.
Yeah. In a sense that you appreciate, or not so much appreciate?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Yes.
I didn't at the time, but looking back, I am appreciative. So my mum was a nutritionist. My father was a holistic chiropractor.
Wow.
He studied in America at that time of nature cure and clean living and fasting and raw foods and hippie era. Yes. So when then
but what everyone's striving for now.
Things come round.
Definitely.
So they brought us up strict vegetarian. I've never eaten meat in my life ever. I'm 43.
Wow.
I did try fish when I was pregnant because I thought that's going to be a healthy add-on for my pregnancy, more protein, good oils, yada, yada. The naturopath side of things took priority, but my body was just like, no deal. So I was so sick, and I think I tried it twice, and I was like, no, I just can't do this.
Really?
Meant to be a vegetarian. Nonetheless, brought up with fasting as being a big part of, if ever we were sick, Mum and Dad used to call that a healing crisis. So if we had a sore throat or a fever or the chicken pox or anything, it was a healing crisis. And so we would fast. So they would put us on like water for a couple of days, maybe 1 or 2 days, water only. And then following that would be juice. And then until we were better, essentially. Wow. And then once we were better, then we were allowed fruit, raw food. And so like really, really strict upbringing. Every night we had to have a salad before we could have anything cooked afterwards.
And what was the philosophy, I would love to understand, around the fasting?
Yeah, so I guess when you're sick or in a healing crisis, your body is using energy to overcome that illness, that sickness. So your immune system's rallying energy to make more white cells to overcome that infection. Or if you've got like, even like I sprained my ankle playing netball, and they were like, compress fast. And so it was like your body is using energy to do that healing process. And so when we eat, and digestion of food takes a huge chunk of our body's energy requirements. And so if we can trust that we've got enough resources to call upon, so we can fast to then put that energy that we would normally be using for digestion into healing, then we'll heal more effectively and overcome something quicker.
Is that something you still do now? And did you do it with your children?
Yes. So it is something that I did with my children, and fasting is something that I still implement now. I do it in a different way. Of course, if I, am sick, whether it's like a flu or whatever it might be, if I'm running a fever, I'll go on a fast. But I do more intentional fasting now with my cycle.
Yes.
So I do like a 24 to 48 hour prolonged fast, where I'm just drinking water and having herbal teas.
In the lead up to your period? Is this
No, after my period finishes.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm in my follicular phase, so between the end of my period and before ovulation begins is such a wonderful window for fasting. For women, we really shouldn't be fasting in the lead up to our period or after ovulation. Our body's requirements for more calories and energy at that time is higher. So putting ourselves under fasting stresses is not ideal at that time. But so interesting, because obviously that was something that I did as growing up in that environment. So much emphasis was placed on food in our house, like no sugar, all natural foods. Like Mum packed my lunch every day up until the end of year 12. There were some times that we rebelled, like if we went to kids' houses or to parties. I was like,
the hardest part.
Oh,
the external influences.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but that sort of upbringing so much so created this great foundation for health for me. But also understanding where the balance needs to be too, because not everybody has that environment that they're growing up in, that level of discipline or strictness. Like my mum and dad never drank, my alcohol, never smoked, none of that stuff. No coffee. It was really, really clean living. Juices every day. I was like literally orange from drinking so much carrot juice.
Wow.
Yeah, so funny. But that upbringing really helped me to have a better perspective about diet. To just say that, okay, well, sure, we can be living in that extreme if we really want to be disciplined. But there's, so much more joy and balance that comes
Yes.
from having some freedom in your diet
Yes.
and just making healthy choices every day.
Mm-hmm.
So like my father would be horrified to know, he's passed away now, but that my kids were eating meat.
Yeah. So I was going to say, do your girls eat meat?
Yeah, they do.
Yes. And enjoy it? Like, have they been...
Yeah, they're fine. And, you know, that my husband's drinking beer and dad's like, oh, it's toxic and they're overweight. He was so judgmental about all those things because he was so perfect with his health. But anyway.
But did it, like, from a longevity perspective, do you feel like it obviously really supported them and has supported you?
Having that upbringing, absolutely, yes. And I think there's always a balance with things, right?
Yes.
So, here, I never thought I'd be on your podcast talking about my father and his journey, but nonetheless.
This is where we've led to.
This is
I
where
love
we are.
conversations that just flow and where it takes us. I always trust the conversation.
Yeah, but I feel like his probably choices around food were, even though they were super healthy with what he was doing and very disciplined, it was like an eating disorder.
Yes.
So it was like too much.
Yes.
And he then took fasting to an extreme where he was dry fasting. So he would do like an intense fast, but with no water, no food. And he would sometimes do that for like 48 hours. So, and over time, it started to damage his body.
Yeah.
Just took it too far. And so he was the man that was never overweight, never smoked, never drank, was super active, clean eating, organic, fruit, veg, all the time. You thought he had lived to 100. But the fasting side of things, dry fasting in the last few years of his life deteriorated his kidney health. And whether that was something that he had a predisposition for prior, he never went to doctors. I never went to doctors growing up either. Like, never vaccinated, never took a Panadol, never did anything when I was growing up because it was just like, oh, we don't trust them.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
And I love that you've kind of touched on that in terms of you saying that it was like an eating disorder, but that comes back to our mindset as well, because when we're I know I've even gone through periods where I'm so fixated on certain things, or when I first started my health journey and I was like, everything had to be organic. And I used to go to the supermarket and I would read every single ingredient on anything that was like in a can, in a bottle, in a package. And although at that time I thought it was coming from a very health conscious lens, it was freaking exhausting. Like, it was so exhausting. And I was so paranoid then when I would eat out about what's in certain things. And like the microplastics that you just told me, if that had been me hearing that, say, 8 years ago, I would have went on the biggest rampage of like, I can't ever have one. And like, then if I did have one, I'd be thinking about it constantly. And that actually took quite a lot of work from a mindset perspective to be, just find that healthy balance of like, yes, I make good choices when I can, but I'll also enjoy, you know, plastic cup with my matcha like I did. I had 2 this morning and it's in a plastic cup and I'm totally fine with that. But that could have spiraled me a bit a few years ago because it wasn't the healthiest choice. And I really think that is often a side effect or something that can happen when we're so fixated
100%
on health and longevity and those things. And it's like,
just brings it back to that initial of what's important, mind, body and spirit, you know, and working those 3 things in alignment
definitely
is really important.
Like you having a meal with a friend where there's a deep conversation, lots of laughing, belly laughs, while eating maybe not the healthiest meal, you're going to leave that feeling so much better than sitting at a dinner table eating the healthiest thing, but not much conversation and critiquing, being conscious of the food. So that's where I love, like, even from just such a simple perspective, how that mind, body, spirit can really work in harmony.
Oh, definitely.
And I feel like I've got people around me that are the polar opposite, the worst health choices, but never get sick and never like, you know, and then other people that make the best health choices. But I'm like, a lot of it probably just comes down to their mindset around it, or the way that they are embracing or enjoying certain foods and the different lifestyles.
And having that balance, even like it's like I'm a Libra as well, so I'm all about the balance in my life. But knowing when those things are starting to get a little bit out of control, where you are feeling like it's affecting your quality of life, like, you know, it's causing you anxiety or contributing to your sleep issues, or your mind is focused on that so much, or physical, you know, whatever it might be. If you're out of alignment there because you're focusing so much on one thing, it's time to step back, zoom out, and then just get that balance back. And I think too, like, again, our bodies are extremely sensitive but also resilient, so you can go through a period of not necessarily looking after yourself and then go, okay, I was focusing on something else at that time. I wasn't looking after myself, but now I'm in a phase of my life that I can put time and energy into that and mop up the bad from that phase and recover from that, you know, and move on. So you don't need to beat yourself up that you're not perfect all the time.
I think that's such an important perspective as well, because it's like, I often look at things as seasons, like I'm definitely not in my like healthiest season when it comes to food, because life's busy, lots of balls in the air at the moment. And I'm like, for me, it's about eating and filling my body than not eating at all, because it's not the healthiest kind of thing. And I'm like, I've got other seasons of life where I'll be back to cooking everything from scratch and being more conscious. So I love that perspective as well, of like, you can mop it up later and it doesn't always have to be, For anyone who's listening who really wants to focus on women's health and their internal body, what are some of the signs that they can start to listen to the whispers in their body? Because such a believer, and I know you are too, our body's always communicating with us, but we're not often as in tune to listen to those. And I think that comes from with the skin journey as well. Like, often we're searching for the external constantly, but it's like, what are the signs that our bodies actually, the whispers that our body's actually giving us that we can tune a little bit more into?
So I definitely think if you're cycling as a woman and having a period, that the quality of your period is really a reflection of your quality of health.
Okay.
And so it's like a little report card every month about what's happening with the body. Now, the reality is that our periods are pretty low priority for our body in terms of blood, energy, nutrients, and resources going to our reproductive system. It's kind of like low priority because our mind, our immune system, our stress response, our cardiovascular system, even our digestion, everything comes before that. Okay, because that's what's keeping us alive.
Yes.
Reproducing and our reproductive system is something that is like, when everything else is good, we can do that.
Okay.
And so if we sort of look at it, that's like the bottom of the list. So if things are good there, you know that everything above that is in alignment and is good too.
Okay.
But if you're having not great periods, whether, you know, you're having a short luteal phase or a painful period, or issues around ovulation, or a terrible premenstrual phase, lots of clots or really heavy bleeding or whatever, or really light flow or very irregular, or lots of brown spotting, like there's so many signs that our cycle and our periods will tell us to understand what's happening with our body better. And learning that for you, and because it changes.
Yes, definitely.
You know, it changes compared to as a teenager, or when you're in your 20s, or after having babies.
After breastfeeding.
If you're breastfeeding, after breastfeeding, you know, when you're in perimenopause, it changes. So the thing is that we want to, like, I'm blessed because I have an understanding about,
definitely,
you know, our hormones and our periods and our different seasons of our life and what is healthy at those times. But just understanding your body at this time and what is also, you know, it's like, how would I say it? If it's affecting your quality of life, if it's stopping you from doing things that you want to do, or if it's significantly making, like, it's a point that you're like, I can't do this because of XYZ, because of my period, because of the pain, because of my skin. If that's stopping you from doing things that you want to do, then, and impacting your quality of life, that's when you need to look at it. But if it's something that you can
advice.
manage and then move through,
Yes.
then that's fine. It's
fine.
probably not an issue.
Yes.
So yeah, just understanding that for yourself and asking for help.
Yes.
So if you're like, okay, well, I am having really bad period pain, or my cycles are very irregular, or I'm getting a lot of heavy bleeding, what does that mean?
Yes.
What does that mean? And asking for help to with somebody, whether it's a naturopath or a nutritionist or your doctor or whoever.
Yeah.
Just asking and understanding what those signs and symptoms are meaning around your period and your cycle then can give you a better understanding about what's happening with your body.
Yeah. I love that. Meah, thank you so much. I feel like my mind has been so expanded today.
I'm sorry for raving on.
About this forever with you. I'm so grateful for your time and for your incredible product and what it honestly is doing for women's health and just the way that we feel, you know, and show up as women, because I think that it flows from the inside out, doesn't it? It's like when you're good on the inside and you're feeling good, it flows out externally.
Yep.
So I so appreciate all your wisdom, your knowledge, your love, support, energy. Thank you so much for being here and joining me for this episode.
Thank you, Madeline. Thank you so much.